Hola and bienvenidos a todos para las noches, and welcome to the Grapple Gurus here at the BC Wrestle Pod, your PPV, PLE, and just special wrestling shows in general reviews here on the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, YouTube channel, Twitch conglomeration, multi-mash of a bunch of things. We don't know what we call ourselves. We are like bards here in the wrestling world. We are jacks of all trades, master of none, and we do those things very well. I am one of your hosts this evening, Mikey, also known as El Jefe, around the BC WrestlePod parts. And tonight, in the words of the famous VeggieTales, do we have a show for you? Anyways, we are here to review the CMLL 91st Aniversario show. And joining me this evening, first and foremost, is my love him to death. I'm so happy he decided to join us for CMLL. And, we had a great time, or at least two of us did. Don't know where El Buntador was, but El Buntador is here. Now that he watched the show, I'm super excited to have you review this one with me.
Saludos, programas. Buenas noches. I was in my El Buntador lair, my casita, and I was watching the 91st anniversary show. So I saw the things. I saw what happened. It was very good.
It was very, very good as well. And then last, rounding out our trio for this evening, a man of many talents, both here and there and all over the place, hence where, is Papa Osa himself, Will. Happy to have you back. I had a great time on Friday, and I can't wait to do this review with you tonight, my friend.
Indeed. So, hola, all you out there.
I love it.
Hola, señoras y señores.
Yes. We're multilingual here on this channel.
Muy bueno, muy bueno.
Muy bueno.
Alrighty. Figured it out. I'm a white dude. So,
hey,
trying my best.
That is what we call on this channel growth. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait for tonight. This one's going to be really fun. So, we are here to review the 91st Aniversario show for CMLL. But before we get into all of that, two things before we get started. Number one, we're going to be talking about CMLL and everything that went down on their Viernes Espectacular show, specifically the Aniversario show. And we're going to have some opinions for sure. So just to let everyone know, remember, just be nice in the comments. We can have a discussion. And, just be respectful. Otherwise, you will be blocked. Bamboozled, you lose. Good day, sir. So that is us right here. And we're already getting some of our returning folks, the Samoan Watchman himself. What is up, Oos? Welcome to our CMLL special. I am super excited to do this. And speaking of CMLL, we had a watch along on Friday. So I want to thank everyone that was a part of that, because I was not expecting 3,000 of you guys to be watching that when we were all over the YouTubes and the Twitch. So thank you so much for giving just this little group of wrestling folks a chance, and to all of my native Spanish speakers who popped in and had a conversation with us, both in English and Spanish. I thank you. So muchas gracias, because without you guys, it wouldn't have been as much as a success. We still enjoyed ourselves, but I'm happy there was lots of you who watched it along with us and enjoyed the conversations that were being had. So with all that, yes, salud, as I'm going to be shotgunning my water this whole entire evening, because it's hydrate or dihydrate out here, kids. But with that out of the way, let us officially begin. We are here to recap the 91st Aniversario show taking place from Arena, Mexico, taking place on Friday the 13th, which was kind of nuts. Again, Friday the 13th is always hit and miss with professional wrestling. Crazy shit always breaks down anytime we have a 13th for any month. But thankfully, everything went off without a hitch. So, boys, let's just strap in and let us begin, because the Aniversario show opens up with a trios match, if you will. And this saw the team of Futuro, Max Star, and Hombre Bala Jr. taking on Magnus, Rugido, and Mágica Blanca. By the way, shout out to CMLL for these beautiful graphics on their Twitter page. I love when wrestling companies actually have match cards for me to use. I'm looking at you, AEW, and I'm going to put you on blast forever in a day because I have to go to 5 websites for you. But boys, this was a quick 8 to 9 minute match that kind of opened up the show, set the precedence. El Buntador, I'm going to come to you first. So, as we know, being the first match on any CMLL show is ride or die from what we've come to learn, because it sets up what the rest of the show and how the emotion and feelings are going to be throughout the night. So, what are your takes on this opener match, and did it live up to setting the mood correctly, in your opinion?
So to start off, this match was a relevo australiano with one fall, and this a lot of energy, a lot of fun wrestling, a lot of high technical wrestling in this match. I mean, the guys that participated in this relevo australiano, they are known for their high technicality in the ring, but yeah, they set the they definitely set the tone, and not only did they set the tone, but like the whole staff for CMLL set the tone, from the announcers to our dancers. Shout out to our dancers. They did a costume change at every match, so but yeah, this match really exciting, lot of great spots, and definitely set the tone for the night.
Excellent, and I agree with your points right there. Papa, also, I come to you next. Same feeling. The first match is make or break for the rest of the evening. So what did you enjoy about this match, and did this set up the mood for the rest of the night?
Well, as you know, again, here I am. I love them all. I love every match. There wasn't a match I didn't like. This one, I think this made the night. It was a make it for sure. They came in strong. The crowd was involved. It was just so much energy, which was great. Because when you do these sort of like anniversary, whatever shows, they can either go really well or mediocre. And I thought that as this one began, I was like, okay, so it's either going to show that this is going to be a spectacular show, or it's going to be a show. And I think these 6 gentlemen knocked it out of the park. It was such a good match. It was super powerful, super high energy. And I thought it was also a great sort of showpiece for what luchador style wrestling is, because you had everything. They were literally throwing everything out there just to sort of, it was very much like a charcuterie board of wrestling. And I loved it. I loved it. It got me going. It got me energized. And I was like, oh, what's next? What's next? What's next? The whole night. I was that way the whole night.
Absolutely. And I agree with both of your points. I think this definitely started the night off strong. While a short match, these 6 men knew exactly what they needed to do, and they did it very well, which sets up for what we got next, because we also had another trios match. This time, we had some of the big boys be coming through for this one. So we had a relevos australiano. So this was 2 out of 3 falls for this one. And we had the team of Templario, Neon, and Star Jr. taking on the team of Soberano Jr., Angel del Oro, and Niebla Roja. So first and foremost, I said this leading into this watch along on Friday and this review. Soberano Jr. has been making his appearances both on the Friday and the Saturday shows. He has been booked to the high heavens, and for good reason, because I think he's fantastic. But we have a little bit of a debate, and I'm going to tag in El Buntador because El Buntador, you sent me some interesting things to include into this slideshow. So let's talk about the match, and then what is your take? What is it that we're going to be looking at tonight?
Okay, yeah. So match first. Again, this match just it built off of the first match. Especially with being a best 2 out of 3. You had the two brothers and Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja and Sobrano Jr. All work really well together. I mean, all 6 of these luchadors just worked really well together, and it's funny too because this isn't the first time that we've seen these guys like face off against each other. We've seen this match in other iterations, but it's still they still find a way to make it exciting and make it engaging, and really get you wrapped up into it. And yeah, like Templario, he's a big guy that has some great agility, but not Angel de Oro. He's no slouch either. He's a big guy too, and he's got some great moves. And yeah, it was a great second match. It really just kept that energy like on the upswing.
Oh, absolutely. So let's get Papa Oso's thoughts. So if I'm not mistaken, I hear din, din, din. So Papa Oso, same question to you. How did we feel about this 2 out of 3 fall match? And just give us your overall thoughts.
Okay. First, I must say, Templario. I love that man. He is amazing. Actually, I love this, and I'm going to agree. I think that this match built off of the first match, and I think you're going to see that kind of as the night goes on. But to also sort of touch on something else that was mentioned, El Butador said, was the idea that we've seen these guys face off before. And, we're talking about it never gets old, and it doesn't. That's what's so great about it. It's like, yeah, we've seen these pairing. We'll see several of, we'll see, we've seen these guys fight before. We've seen these guys fight before. These women have fought against each other multiple times, but every time feels different. And I love that about this whole culture is, watching this match, I was like, okay, well, we've seen these folks, we've seen them, so we're going to see a lot, even though we did see a lot of the same sort of movements and that sort. It felt different every time. It feels different every single time. And again, I think it has a lot to do with the audience or the spectators, the folks that they're the ones that bring that sort of energy into the arena, and you can feel the wrestlers come into the ring, and then you just feel this wave, just like a tsunami wash over that ring, and it feels like a completely, like I'm watching them for the first time. It, even though we're watching their signature moves happen, and we're watching, but it doesn't. To me, as as someone who doesn't know that much about this sort of cultural wrestling style, it literally, I don't get bored, not once. I've never once said, "Oh, okay, well, we've seen that before." Oh, okay, well, we've seen that before. Yeah, we have, but it felt completely different, and it's like they can shift their characters just enough where, yeah, it's them, but somehow it's different. And I don't understand it because, probably because I'm not in it, but it's just neat. I love that. And you'll see it. And like I said, again, as the night goes on, you'll see it, because we've seen a lot of these wrestlers wrestle each other in various venues, various, episodes. And it all felt different. So I love that, and I'm kind of glad you mentioned it, because it's so true that it doesn't feel like the same match. I mean, not at all. And I love that. So I love this. Again, it's just like keeping the wave going. I mean, like, this is literally, I was again, I was like, yeah, let's go on to the next. What's next? What's next? What's next? So, yeah, well done.
Alrighty. So I will say Soberano, Angel, and Niebla do pick up the victory at the end, but I am going to turn it now because class is in session and Professor Buntador is here to teach us a little bit and also offer a theory. So, El Buntador, what do you got for us?
Right. So when I was watching the live stream, because I did peek in on you guys, I did notice that your esteemed colleague, Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican, that guy, he made an observation that when Templario comes out with his ring gear, he looks a lot like the angels from a video game called Diablo. So yes, this is Exhibition A. This is Templario coming out with his ring gear. Of course, he takes the shoulder pads and all that off, and he's just left with, nothing but his mask and his trousers. But now if we can go to Exhibit B. So this is what the angels in Diablo look like. Okay, notice the big shoulder pads, the hood, the very large chest. So if we can go to Exhibit C, angel or nah? You decide.
If I'm being honest,
Total angel.
well, we know where Will falls on the side of this thing. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me because wrestling and video games somehow within like the last 20, 30 years go hand in hand for some odd reason. And we know that there are lots of wrestlers that are big video game nerds and take inspiration in their ring gear. Templario is one of them, but some other wrestlers from other companies. We know Mr. Will Ospreay loves Assassin's Creed, as we saw in his recent entrance gears. Jade Cargill is always cosplaying as some sort of black superhero. Her Storm gear is still one of my favorites. Also, when she cosplayed as Chitara one time as well was fantastic. Jade Cargill's great. Just wrestling and video games. And yes, I think Templario was sent by the wrestling gods so we can bask in his glory, because that man is fine and talented, but he is also fine. So we love it. So El Puntador, thank you for that very educational moment.
You're welcome.
And we shall move on. As I mentioned before, the team of Soberano Jr., Angel del Oro, and Niebla Roja do pick up the victory in a very great back and forth match. So then we get into our third match. First of all, like, woo, child. Okay. I was ready, but I was also not prepared for what we got, because this, at this point of the night, was the shit. This match was my favorite up to this point in the night. Oh my God, did these two bring it? So this is the final of the Copa Independencia. So this saw Máscara Dorada and Titan go back and forth to be declared the winner of La Copa Independencia. And my God, when you want to talk about a wrestling clinic, these two went and threw everything, the kitchen sink, the refrigerator, and potentially they threw their mamas across the ring, because woo, this was a match. If you want to talk about pure style, just traditional like mat to mat wrestling, this had everything. This had lucha libre. This had mat wrestling. This had like strong style wrestling. This was, excuse my French, this is a wrestling fan's wet dream. Like, this match blew all my expectations, blew me out of the water. I was exhausted by the end of this match of how great it was. There's just not enough words in the English dictionary to use as adjectives to describe the immense insanity that was this match. So, Papa Oso, I'm going to come to you first, so we're going to reverse it here. Like, by the end of this, all of us were like, what did we just watch? So I want you to walk me through your feelings on this match and just why this was so special for you.
So this match was like an explosion. I mean, it was like a bomb went off in this arena with these two. And you know, the more and more I watch Máscara Dorada wrestle, the more I absolutely love watching him wrestle. And Titan, I absolutely love. So when I was like, "Ooh, these guys are they're gonna face off," I was like, "Ooh," and this match just blew me out of the water. This was up to this point. This was like match of the night. Holy goodness. I was exhausted after it. It pulled me in so quickly. That's what's so great about it. There was no buildup. It was like, boom, we're in it. And it was a go, 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 go. And you could tell these two men, by the end of this match, were exhausted. I mean, they were getting to the point where they were just like, it's like, and I was like, oh my God, who's going to win? Who's going to win? Who's going to win? And it was, I mean, my God, it was a feast for the eyes, everybody. It was truly, this is one of those matches that you should go and find it and watch it. You can mute it and just watch the match. It is like mind-blowing. Like truly how absolutely incredible these two wrestlers are and what they do. And it had, I think I may have been having palpitations at one point. I was like, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this match, guys. It's like, it was so good. I mean, and I think we were talking about comparing it, and I compared it to the Mike Bailey, Will Ospreay fight that we watched. That was I was like, oh, I need a cigarette after that. It was so good. I mean, this was just right there with it. It was so good. And I thought nothing can touch this match for sure, because it was so amazing. It was like at the point of this show, I was like, that's it. I could go home now. And I would have been like, boom, we're good. It was that good. That good.
Excellent points. Definitely agree with you. El Puntador, the same question. This match, by the end of this, I mean, in your own experience, because your friend Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican, with me and Will, were just like exhausted with adrenaline. So El Puntador, how did you feel about this match, and just, give us your overall thoughts and feelings about it?
I mean, this match was, I really can't say any more than Will has already said. The one thing though that, like, I just want to clarify for the American fans that might have not seen the show or don't watch CMLL is that even though we're saying that they were throwing the kitchen sink at each other, they were not. These matches, they don't have any of that extraneous stuff going on. They don't pull tables out. They don't pull chairs out. They don't, bags of tacks and this, that, and the other, right? They don't have people running in from like off stage or under the ring and like pulling the legs. This was literally two wrestlers just going at it for, I think it was a good like 25 minutes. This match.
This was a long match too, which I was not used to because my American wrestling brain is trained for matches not going past like maybe 50 minutes max.
Yeah, these two went like 25 plus minutes, and it was a nonstop. When they weren't doing the high flying moves, they were on the mat going back and forth with each other. And it was a piece of art. If you can take the time out and find this match, Máscara Dorada versus Titan, for the Copa Independencia that 2024, you will not be disappointed. It was beautiful match. Beautiful. Yep. The motion, yeah, beautiful.
I totally agree here. But shout out to Raul, buenas noches, amigo. And of course, coming us from us live from Mexico itself. So shout out to you, my friend. Also a returning person from our watch along. So muchas gracias and buenas noches. But
Bienvenidos, primo.
yes, see, I'm gonna sum up my thoughts and feelings before we move on because I agree with you, El Buntador. There was no extenuating extremity circumstances, like there's no tables, there's no run-ins, no nada. This was just two men who were armed with everything they have in their skill set in wrestling and lucha libre and put it all on the line. Ultimately, Titan is the winner by way of submission because he got Máscara Dorada in a very unique pin, which I have never seen the likes of that before. I thought was really, really cool. And I was so happy by the end of this. Titan is your winner for La Copa in the Benfica for 2024. These men put on a banger. And so once this match was over, I was like, I don't know what's happening. This is getting crazy. So what do we have next? But we then get into our championship match of the evening for the CMLL Women's World Championship. We have our champion from representing AEW, Miss Willow Nightingale, taking on our challenger in Zuxis. So I'm gonna be honest. I may have had a lot of high hopes for this match. I put a lot of stock into it because I was like, these women are going to kill each other. I thought this was a good match. Of course, I'm a big fan of Willow Nightingale, and I am a little biased. However, I am not beyond critiquing it. And so I thought this was a good match. I think this match suffered from two things. Number one, it suffered going after what we just witnessed. But number two, this was also, if I clocked everything correctly, this was the shortest match of the evening. So this did not go on for very long. And then number three, it just kind of sucked because this was Willow's first defense of the title, and then she loses it. So we've had her hold this belt for 2 months, not a single title defense. She finally defends it in Mexico, and she loses it on her first title defense, which kind of bummed me out. But I am happy to see Zuxis win and be our new CMLL Women's World Champion. So congratulations to her. Overall, I thought this was a good match. Abuntador, I'm going to come to you first. The Amazonas had a tough time going on after what we just witnessed. So how did you feel about the match? And just how do we feel about Willow's short title reign overall?
So behind the scenes, it made sense that Zuxis picks up the title. That way, the CMLL Women's Championship can come back to Mexico. It did, for as happy as I was, because I am a big Willow fan, for as happy as I was that she was the CMLL Women's Champion, I was getting increasingly more upset that she wasn't defending in Mexico. And probably like because of her AEW schedule, she had to give it up, right? Like that's what I'm assuming was kind of like playing on in the background. It definitely felt weird. It was not a bad match, but it felt like an American woman's match in a CMLL show, which that's what like tossed me, because we've seen the CMLL women's division, and we've seen them go after each other for like 20 minutes plus, and yeah, this almost felt like match Relampago without being called a match Relampago, so that, and there were a few, I felt like there were a few botches as well. It did seem like Willow was a little lost. Maybe it was just because of the travel. Maybe, she flew down and then had to like fly back for AEW stuff. But yeah, I am bummed that that Willow's reign has been cut short. But I am happy that Zuxi's won it. She's a great Amazona. And I'm happy that the title is back in Mexico. So.
Papa, also same question to you. What did you think about our championship match and just your overall thoughts about everything?
Well, okay, you know me. I love women's wrestling, and I think both these women were amazing. But this didn't feel like a championship match, like at all. It's like, I mean, it felt a little thrown together to me. I mean, like with the mishaps, because I noticed it too. I was like, there was some serious like missteps, misdirection. I was just like, and Mikey, me and I hate when people from other companies come in and hold titles that don't belong to them, basically. So I was very excited that it's here, that the title is now at CMLL, like officially. So I was very pleased about that. But in the overall of this event, it felt out of place. And I think it's because it felt so sort of thrown in that it didn't. It's like there was something else there and it got moved out of the way. And they're like, oh, here, we'll put this in here. So the energy coming from those first two matches just sort of hit a wall. And we had this, and again, wasn't a horrible match. It didn't flow with the rest of the evening. And especially with it being like a championship match, I thought, ooh, this is going to be like, a belt's on the line, man. This is going to be like, crowd's going to go insane. I mean, it was like, and it really wasn't. It was kind of just sort of, okay. It was like, good job, guys. All right, what's next? And I was just like, and I felt sad for both of them because one, she won this championship belt, but it felt like such a hollow victory. If that makes sense. Like it wasn't like this big thing. It wasn't grand. It wasn't like super high energy. It wasn't, I don't know. I agree with both of you. I was disappointed in the match. I thought the match was okay, but with the excitement and the electricity that was happening, it felt like the circuit got missed. Like, oh, we have a glitch in the system. It kind of just felt out of place. I don't know. And it didn't feel like it had enough buildup or something. I don't know what it was, but it felt odd to me. It just felt weird. And I wasn't sure why we were having a championship match that just didn't feel like a championship match. So I don't know. It was really weird to me. But again, I love both of these women. I love the representing. You go, girls. But I don't think this should have been a championship match. It didn't feel like one. It literally just felt like a regular women's match. I mean, so I don't know. Again, love both of them. I thought they both did great. Yeah, there were some technical issues. They got past them, and we got to the end of the match. Again, super short match a super short match for a championship belt. I don't know. That's just it was weird. It kind of put me in it was almost like a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, now I've had all that beef. Yeah, let me have my mint.
Right. My nice sorbet.
And then it's like, okay, now what's coming?
No, absolutely. I think from the first 3 matches we got set a big precedents. We got here, and I don't want to say it dipped in quality, but I would say we were escalated, and then it kind of just keeled out a little bit. It plateaued a little bit, and then it slowly started to build up a little bit more because we then move into our special international, trios match. This had basically Team USA versus Team Mexico once again. Representing Team Mexico, we have Volador Jr., Atlantis Jr., and Ultimo Guerrero taking on the international team of AEW's Orange Cassidy, New Japan Dojos, and just New Japan in general, Rocky Azúcar Romero. And of course, probably one of my highlights of this entire match, one half of your MLW Tag Team Championship, Satoshi Kojima of Cozy Max. While I wasn't expecting this to be anything too crazy, I will say I thought this was fun. Again, Satoshi Kojima was a highlight for me in this match. I loved it when him and Ultimo Guerrero went Chop Fest for Chop Fest. That was a fun spot. Rocky Romero being an absolute tool in this match was so much fun to watch. Just being a total asshole, if you will. And, we had Team Mexico pull out the victory here with Volador Jr., Atlantis Jr., and Ultimo Guerrero taking the victory. El Buntador, I'm going to come to you first. So you are more familiar with some of the folks on the international team a little bit more. But how did we feel about the match itself? And did Orange Cassidy fit well into Arena Mexico? So how do we feel?
Yes. Okay. I felt that this match was the comedy match without being the comedy match for the night. I think that Orange Cassidy and his introduction to CMLL was well received. He played his part fine. I think that the fans really enjoyed him. And overall, this match was well placed with all the, with what was to come next. And then, what we had, this was a good, like, that's funny because Orange Cassidy's doing the thing. And the announcers were flipping out about that, when he was doing his no hands in the pocket thing. And Volador Jr., we know that Atlantis Jr. has wrestled Orange Cassidy before. Ultimo Guerrero, he's wrestled Rocky Romero before. So, it's not like these guys haven't wrestled each other. But yeah, it was. I thought it was a fun match. It was a fun match, right where it needed to be.
Splendid, Papa. Also, same question to you. How did we feel about this trios match?
It was fun. It was, we had those first two, then we had the ladies. And this, the funny thing is, or the sad thing is, if the ladies match hadn't been there, this would have been perfect follow-up to that man on mano a mano match. Because it was serious enough, yet fun enough, with Orange Cassidy being a goofball, which was great. So it was neat. Because some of these folks I didn't really know. Well, really only one of them I didn't really know, and that was Kojima. Actually, two of them I didn't really know Orange Cassidy either. But watching Kojima and Ultimo Guerrero go at it with each other, I was like, holy goodness! And I'm like, I just think, I can take a lot, but some of those slaps across the chest, I'm just like, ow! Like, no, I'm good. Let's not do that. But it was actually really good. It was fun. Again, it was took us out of the sort of heavy hit sort of mentality and put this sort of just fun bad guys versus good guys fight. It's like the melodrama of the evening.
Yep.
It was very, very melodramatic. It was, especially with Orange Cassidy doing all his stuff. And then just watching like Kojima and Rocky just watch him like, what are you doing? And it was a lot of fun. So yeah, this was like our melodramatic episode of the evening. And so it was fun. I enjoyed it. Yep. It kept me in the evening. So it pulled me back in after the previous match. So that was good. So I was like, oh, yay. Okay, so I'm back. I'm back now. So by the end of this, I was like, all right, what we got?
Right. Yes, this match was a lot of fun. It definitely took us out of our women's championship match, and we were on the incline. Like I said, Team Mexico does win here. And so I was like, all right, kids, we're on the steady incline again. Like, I'm back in it. You brought me back in. What do we have next?
Oh, Lord.
Hold on. I gotta walk away. Lord have mercy. I was not ready for this match. Oh my God, you guys. Holy I'm gonna drop my curse words for this one. Holy shit. Like, okay. So let me be the professional here before I start gushing all over the place for this match. So in our semi-main event for the show, this was a cuadrangular de máscaras match. So basically a fatal four-way with a mask for mask match. And so these four leading into this for months at this point, not even weeks, months, have been going at it, killing each other, ripping each other's masks. And so all four of them got in here. So really quickly, the way this match was set up is that it started as a fatal four-way. And it was an elimination style match where once we had two participants eliminated, then we got into the mask for mask match where loser would be demasked by the end of this. So we saw Hechicero, Esfinge, Euforia, and Valiente go at war with each other. And Jiminy H. Christmas, Sweet Dragoon on a Cracker Boys. Like, this was the longest match of the whole entire night. I looked at it. We clocked into almost 40 minutes with this match, but it did not feel that long. When I tell you that this match had everything and then some, I'm about to put it on record here. And I don't think anything, I rewatched it to see if I still felt the same way. And I'm going to be honest, I'm excited for the pay-per-views to come the rest of this year. But I am definitely saying I don't think there's anything that is going to dethrone it. This is my match of the year. Like, this is my match of 2024. But, woo! I don't know how to describe this without just sounding like a mark. But, oh my God, this match was everything and I wanted. So hopefully my constituents here can tell me, Puntadora, I'm going to come to you first because, like, I have no more words to describe just how ballin' and bitchin' this match was. But how did you feel about this semi-main event?
American companies should take notes on long-term storytelling culminating with this match. And I dare anyone to watch this match and not feel just all the emotions, going through these four going at it. Cause it was built up that this, even taking the whole the máscara contra máscara thing, out of the picture, this was just like a grudge match. These four do not like each other. And I do have to remind our fans that a luchador's mask is not just a mask. It is his soul. So it is, and they take it. I mean, it is, it's serious. It's not like play or anything like that. And these four were going at it like they were protecting their souls, I thought that it was great how they had they willed it down to 2, and then those final 2 went máscara contra máscara, right? Went mask for mask. I also really enjoyed it that because the build up to this, whenever these 4 would find each other in the ring, the first thing they did was like rip at each other's masks. But in this match, until it got to the máscara contra máscara, they didn't touch each other's masks, and it was just straight wrestling the whole time. And it was so emotional at the end, you know. Who was it? Valiente was the first one that was out, followed by Esfinge, which is interesting because Esfinge was kind of like the catalyst of this whole thing, you know, which left Hechicero and Euphoria. And by this time, they've already been wrestling for like over 20 minutes. These guys are exhausted, and they went and wrestled for another 20 minutes trying to get each other's masks off, 20 plus minutes. And, you know, in the end, Euphoria is pinned after just this just human struggle at the end with Hechicero and Euphoria. You know, they literally have tossed everything they have at each other, every submission, every top rope move that they knew, and they were it's like, not to bring out the nerd, but it's like that scene in the very first Pokemon movie where you have the 2 Pikachus and they're just like slapping each other and like crying, and they're exhausted, you know. But it was just so
favorite person.
right, but it was just so emotional. That was Hechicero and Euphoria going at it at the end there. And you know, in the end, Hechicero gets the pin. He got a submission, and he got a clean submission. Again, no tricks, no nonsense. It was just straight up wrestling. Hechicero submits Euphoria, and then you have this beautiful thing where Sobrano Jr. and I don't know who the other wrestler that came out, but they were friends of Euphoria, and it was just this emotional, you know, taking of Euphoria's mask, you know, which it was beautiful. It was just beautiful.
So, Papa Oso, I'm going to come to you, and you had a very potent reaction towards the end once the match was over, said and done. But I ask you the same question. How did you feel about the match? And I want you to walk through to you what you were feeling once we got past the ending of the match to what happened afterwards.
So, yeah, this match was absolutely spiritual. It was exciting and thrilling and nail biting and edge of my seat the whole time. And then when we got down to the final 2 with Hechicero and Euphoria, and it's not necessarily the brutality of the match changed, but it's the idea of the defensiveness of the match changed. You know, it was more like they were fighting for their lives with each other as opposed to trying to win a match. It was like, you know, I'm trying not to lose as opposed I'm trying to win. And when we got, you know, each of the near pins that happened, it was just like your breath was taken out of you, because it's just like, oh God. You know, I mean, I literally was having palpitations during that match, and when the ending happened, when the official with Hechicero winning the match and Euphoria losing. I was moved. I cried. I'm not even gonna lie. I full on tears fell from my face, and just because. And again, they were speaking. Euphoria was talking, and again, I don't understand the language, but I didn't have to because I could feel the emotion that was in his voice and in his physical being. It just exuded through the television, and it just washed over me, and I just couldn't. Now I know, like, my husband tells me that, you know, I cry at running water, but the power of this, like, I mean, and you could even tell, like, Hechicero was upset about it. I mean, you know, he's like, I won, but I hate that this is happening, and which made it even worse emotionally. And then, you know, when they were untying the mask, and it was just like, I mean, I couldn't anymore. I was like, I literally, in my heart and my soul, it's like, come on, Hechicero, just tell him he doesn't have to. Just say, you know, I won the match. You can keep your mask. You know, let's do that. And I was just like, please, 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 because, you know, watching the pain that Euphoria was in, it was unbearable. And I don't even know these people, and I'm just like, it was so powerful. And again, this comes down to the idea of the culture of this style, that it is so cultural and spiritual and, you know, traditional. And so, and, you know, and I didn't know the idea of the luchador mask, you know, what it truly represented until I, you know, started doing this with you guys. And so for Euphoria to have to take it off in front of all those people, I mean, I couldn't even imagine. Like, right now I'm getting emotional about it because I can't imagine what was going through his soul at that moment. And, you know, and he started to untie it, and then he stopped, you know, and then the two guys that were with him were just hugging him and, you know, and like really trying to console him, which was just making it worse, you know, for me anyway. And then seeing, you know, Hechicero just sort of like, oh God, you know, oh God, oh God. And then when he pulled the mask off, it destroyed me. It destroyed me. And, you know, and he's standing there, and he's in full face, and then he hands it to Hechicero, and I was just, and he was so beautifully gracious. You know, it wasn't a ha ha ha, I've got your mask. You know, it was like, it was true graciousness, and it's literally, I'm like starting to tear up. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful thing, and heartbreaking at the same time. Because, I mean, I think, and then, you know, I think it was the nerdy Puerto Rican that said, "Oh, once you take the mask off, you're never the same," and that hit me even harder. I was just like, "Oh my God!" And then I thought about it, and then I went down a rabbit hole at that point. It was just like, "Oh God, he'll never be the same," because now the people have seen who he is, and his soul has been ripped from him. So now if you put another mask on, it's like putting somebody else's soul in your own body, you know. And I was like, oh God. I mean, I went to a dark place, a really dark place. And so, but I mean, it tore me up, and I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect to get so invested. I mean, look, I mean, I'm wearing a mask myself, you know. It's like, I was so into it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a mask. This is so cool. And, you know, wearing it is so, I don't know, I feel, it's going to sound silly, but I feel so empowered. You know, it's like you put it on and it's like, yeah, here I am. Well, I could take on somebody or whatever. But, I mean, it destroyed me.
So I want to talk about that really quickly too. So obviously I'm not wearing a mask. I do need to get one, but I believe it was either Adolfo or you in a previous review, Will. This is that Lucha Libres are basically superheroes. That mask represents not only their identity, but just like any other superhero, the costume and the mask for most superheroes gives them the courage and, to do what needs to be done and to fight the injustices of the world. So, like, when these luchadores lose these masks in these mask for mask matches, like, all that confidence and everything kind of can get ripped away from them. And I think that is symbolically really tough to watch too, especially if it's, somebody who's been wrestling for a very long time. As I did some digging on Euphoria, this man's been wrestling. He is 50 years old at this point, like 52, I think, though his body don't show it. This man look like he'd be built like he's in his 30s. But this man has been wrestling for almost 25 years, and then to have his mask taken away from him for losing this match, I definitely agreed, was very somber in a weird way. But I think that's kind of what made this and pushed it over the edge for me for my match of the whole entire card, as well as my match of the year, is because the match itself was fantastic and it was amazing. But then it was the ceremony afterwards that kind of pushed it over to the edge. And the crowd made this moment after the match was all said and done, and we had Euphoria losing his mask, like, even more. I don't want to say better because it was a sad thing, but the crowd was so respectful and was so loving in, celebrating Euphoria. Soberano Jr. was over here trying not to cry either when, so there has to be some sort of relationship between the two of them, like mentor-mentee, brothers, father, son, who knows at this point. But, and then what made it worse for me is they panned over to some lady, however she's related to Euphoria. Homegirl was crying on camera, like she was wiping away tears. So I was like, no, you can't make me feel this thing. But this, to me, is the power that wrestling can have, is that not only is the in-ring good, but there's such pomps and circumstance when done right. It just pushes everything for it. And I feel that, I don't want to say that this can only be done right in Mexico, but it can only be done right in Mexico because CMLL has done such a great job of not only giving us wrestling, but ingraining the true, like, aspects of Mexican culture and just Latino culture in general, with honor and family being at the forefront with all of that. So all four of these men did an excellent job. They killed it. And honestly, I was ready to log off for the night. I was like, you guys, this was such a great main event. What a way to end the show. Like, this is fantastic. And then I was reminded by my co-host, it's like, oh no, Mikey, we have one more match. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? That was the main event. That's like 45 minutes. What do you mean? And then once I saw what was next, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be honest, I forgot you were on this card because, like, that last match felt like a main event worthy match. Okay, I want to preface by saying this. I love me some Mystico. I really do. So this was Mystico versus the Lionheart Chris Jericho from AEW and just from American Wrestling Hall of Fame in general. I want to start out with the positives because I love me some Mystico. And I put aside my hatred for Chris Jericho to give this match a chance. I thought this was good. However, because of everything we got from that previous match, this did not compare. And it sucked because I like Mystico, and it makes sense to put your poster boy for CMLL in the main event for the anniversary show. But the previous match, like, brought everything to the table and then some. And then these guys just brought something, and I was just like, it's not the same, you guys. I was so mad. I was like, it was a good match, but our previous match should have been the main event. Like, that match was main event craziness and worthy to me. No shade to Mystico. I am super happy he won, but I was so exhausted from the previous match that it kind of took me out of this a little bit. And so even upon my rewatch, I was like, damn, this was an okay match. And I'm kind of sad because Mystico deserves better. But that previous match just took all the hype and the energy, and the audience was tired for this match. Of course, they love Mystico because he is the hero. But for me personally, this match did not deliver. And it kind of sucked because, again, I like Mystico, but it was really hard to live up to what we watched beforehand. El Buntador, I'm going to come to you first. This was our main event for the Aniversario show. Just how did we feel overall about the match, where it was placed, and what went down?
I mean, you said all the pertinent things. This match should have been the semi main event, and then have the Máscara contra Máscara for the main event. Because number one, by the time we got to this match, we were spent. It was a good match as far as wrestling matches go. It was a good match, but the other issue that I had with it is that they brought your stereotypical American wrestling shenanigans into it. With Large William jumping in at the end and beating on Mystico, and then you had Orange Cassidy, come running in for the save, which I felt took away from the whole point of the night, which was to celebrate CMLL. At this point, it felt like we were promoting and trying to push AEW stuff, which I know that they have a partnership. And for the most part, I've been really digging a lot of the things that this partnership has been bringing, but this fell flat for me.
Papa, also same question to you. What were your thoughts about our main event and just your overall feelings?
Well, I mean, after the previous match, I was so not in this one. I was so emotionally drained that I was just like, this match should not have been here. It should have been previous. It should have been before the mask to mask, mask for mask match. And I agree. And I know, like Mikey, as you said, you want to put your poster child in the main event. I get that, but also you don't have to, because personally, I felt that the mask for mask was far more personal to CMLL than this match, than a partnership match. I felt that if any match in this evening was like saying, this is what this style, this culture is about, was the mask for mask match, hands down. And so I thought this was sort of a letdown at the end. I think we could have ended on this amazing, this beautiful moment, but we had to take it. We had to go over the line. And again, I love Mystico. I think he's a great fighter. I know that. And so I don't necessarily think it was his fault, obviously, because it was just, they're like, oh, we're going to put you. You're our poster kid, our poster child, and you need to be there. But I think it was a disservice, because if I was Mystico and I saw that match that came before mine, I'd just be like, there's no way. There's no way that this match that I'm about to do is going to live up to that. There's no way. He had to know. And I was not a big fan. And of course, again, Mikey knows I am not a fan of other companies coming into companies and doing their stupidity. And that's what this felt like. Here we have Mystico representing CMLL, and then Chris Jericho and his behemoth barbarian idiot on over there, and then shenanigans.
Large William.
Yeah, whatever. But it was like, I felt that it cheapened the evening. They brought in the American style of the shenanigans, and I felt that it really cheapened the night. Like you put a piece of costume jewelry on on a beautiful neck, you know, and it just makes it cheap. And that's what it felt like. And it kind of upset me a little bit, actually. I'm not gonna lie, because I was already in this beautiful moment. I was living in this beautiful moment. And then this happened, and I was just like, oh, well, we've seen that 1,000 times in American style wrestling. So who cares? And that's kind of where I was. And I was just like, and then it ended, and I was like, wow, that ended on a sour note for me. So, yeah, there I am.
Very true. Again, I didn't think this match was horrible by any means necessary, but in a weird way, this was the most American wrestling match that we had in the evening, and that's saying something because we had Willow Nightingale, in the same night, but I felt like that belonged more here in CMLL than what we saw for this one. And to what El Buntador, what you said too, with Large William, Big Bill out, on the ring sign helping, and then the run in from Orange, at the end of the match and whatnot, was kind of a weird ending to this match. I am happy that Mystico won, but I'm just like, yeah. Ooh, David, don't tease me with a good time. Mystico versus Juventud Guerrero would be amazing. Oh, that would be so amazing for sure. But
it's funny because then in other like pay-per-view reviews that I've seen you all do, I've heard you talk about matches that belong on a pay-per-view and matches that don't belong on a pay-per-view, right? And even though this show wasn't a pay-per-view, it was still like it
was very special
show. Yeah, I mean, if this was being transmitted in the US, this would have been a pay-per-view. Let's face that. And this match, if this was just a regular Viernes Espectacular, then this match would have been a good main event. But for the 91st anniversary show, not a good main event.
No, it wasn't. So there we have it.
So now we're in our 91st year of CMLL.
I know. So that was the thing that happened. The wrestling gods heard me talking bad about Chris Jericho, and now they're trying to get me. No, you promised me you would give me an hour. But normally we give our empanada ratings, but I feel like it's kind of hard to do so. So we're not going to. But I will say that for me, despite my critiques of two of the matches, I actually really enjoyed this show. I really did. I thought this was a fantastic way to celebrate 91 years of CMLL. Boys, I just want to thank you for being a part of this with me, Will and Adolfo, for the watch along, and El Buntador. I'm happy you watched it on your own time to be able to review it with us here tonight.
Gracias.
I really enjoyed this show, and as of right now, the next kind of big thing is we just had the men's international Grand Prix, and we're about to have the Amazonas one coming up in October, so I'm super excited about that. But on top of that, in the next coming weeks, we have Night of Champions for CMLL, which, if I read correctly, all championships will be on the line, which is fun. We also have the special 20 years of Mystico show happening relatively soon as well. That's going to be very fun as well. And then, of course, the Amazonas Grand Prix. I'm excited to see which talents get selected for that. It's going to be a fun time all around.
Yeah.
But that's going to be it for us here at Grapples Gurus and Los Lobos de la Lucha special collab review show. So thank you for joining us. I am super happy to be covering CMLL and giving a peek to a promotion that not many people are covering. So I'm super happy that we are here at BC Wrestle Pod, because I think it's important to open people's perspective to wrestling. But for myself and El Buntador too, I think it's super important because CMLL is the representation that we've always wanted to see growing up watching wrestling too. So I get to see all of my Mexicanos and brown folks left and right. We love to see you. Also, I'm looking forward to this Flip Gordon, Rocky Romero feud that we might be getting relatively soon here.
Right?
Because I forgot to mention that during the International Trios match, that Flip Gordon almost threw hands at Rocky Romero during the match.
Yeah.
Also, Flip, you look great in the vest and the tie, my man. Like, you are fantastic. Love you. But I'm excited to see what the next couple of weeks brings for CMLL. So that is going to be it for us tonight. The rest of the week includes, this upcoming Friday, our ROH and TNA review, as well as our WWE review on Sunday. And stick around to the evening because we have our podcast episode where we talk about the worst promos ever, which I'm super excited to do that one. I have a couple lined up. I just got to narrow it down. But from all of us here at the Grapples Gurus, Los Lobos de la Lucha, and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, but more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you Friday for the ROH and TNA reviews, but until then, sayonara, adios, and until then, tata for now. Billy Stark's outro. Bleh.